Hi everyone, it's the end of the semester here and I wanted to make a quick video to show you all how you could create a woven pot over a mold. The mold could be plaster, it could be bisque fired, it could even be a piece of clay that perhaps you wrap in a couple layers of plastic so the clay doesn't stick when you put it on there. In the case of mine, I used a plaster round bowl mold, and then I wove these strips over it, put a double edge. I put a strip on the inside and the outside. I really could have been a lot neater about the way that I joined that top. I was just doing it. I was a little pressed for time when I was trying to get it done today. So this is an example of like a finished one where I took my time and I ended those a little bit more precisely. If you are glazing something like this, you would want to make sure that the back is completely dry-footed. You don't want any glaze to get on the patty when we fire it. Also, make sure that you are just not going overboard with your glaze. So hopefully this makes sense. Shoot me any questions that you might have below, and good luck and happy potting. If you are doing a woven basket, you can certainly make your basket from coils, but in the case of this, I'm going to be using strips of slabs because I find it's much easier for children to work with slabs than it is to roll an even coil. So I am using my 1/4 of an inch thick slab sticks in order to roll these slabs. If you are working with small children, they may need help with this rolling part. I'm of course using my big jumbo rolling pin because I do like the weight of these, but maybe little kids or kids with motor skills might have issue controlling that rolling pin, so just give them a hand if they need it. And I'm going to roll down until I'm down to the 1/4 inch thickness of the slab sticks. All right, now you know you're down when you can hear it on either side. There we go. I can just set this to the side because I'm done with those. Okay, now in order to create my slabs, I am just going to use a straight edge. And I might as well just use the thickness of the actual slab sticks. So as I do this, I'm just going to pick it up, scooch it over a little bit, and do that again. Now, this method is leaving kind of a rough, raw edge, raw cut edge, but I'm going to fix that before I build with it. I'll show you in just a second. I kind of messed up one edge, so I'm going to put a little extra line in there. Okay. So hopefully I have enough. If I don't, I'll make some more. Now, as I separate these, you can see that the edge it's sharp and it has some raw areas, but I want to fix that before I go to build with it because I want it to be cleaner, so it requires less cleanup. So let's just start with one of these. Okay. I can take either a thin fabric towel, okay, or a thin piece of fabric, I should say, or I will also show you another method with plastic here in just a moment. So here I have my thin fabric. I'm going to wrap the edge over it. Then I'm just going to soften this with my fingers. There we go. Now I've softened the top edge. Now I'm going to soften the bottom edge. So just by pressing a little bit with my fingers, not overzealous, but if I hold this up now, you can see I have a nice clean edge that doesn't require cleaning. So I'm going to do that with all of these rather quickly, and I am working quickly with this because I'm going to start assembly here in just a moment. I should mention that this fabric is a pretty fine weave, so it's not really leaving a texture on it. if you have maybe even a piece of interfacing, thin interfacing that is used in sewing, it's actually, it doesn't have a weave to it, it's more of a, I don't even know what you call it, but it's almost like it's felted, if you will. That has less of a texture. And as promised, let me show you the other method. So I did half with the fabric, and now I'll do the other half with the plastic. So the plastic, the advantage to the plastic, I would say, is it is a little bit easier to see what you're doing. You're not doing it quite so blindly. And this is a really thin plastic. We use these in my classroom for clay bags. And this is just real thin. It's a trash can liner is what it is. Like a real thin liner. Okay. All right. For starters, for the weaving, I'm going to lay my first coil on the bottom edge of a mold. So this plaster mold is nice because the clay won't stick to it. You can do this inside of something that is not plaster, but you have to be aware if the clay is going to get stuck. Now, I want to be very careful not to damage this plaster mold. So as I put this first coil on, I am not cutting the clay all the way to the surface of the plaster. If I do, that could scratch it, and scratched plaster will be damaged and you'll leave marks. All right, so I'm putting this together just by blending this. Okay, so that is my first. Okay, my first coil is going to be the coil of the top of the basket. Okay, and I may have to tidy that up later. Now I'm going to do the basket weave. And for the weave, I'm going to start off by cutting some coils so they will overlap onto that. And here we go. So I'll start off with like a crisscross, and then I'm going to I'm laying it out, and then I'll trim it better a little later. Okay, now that I have everything laid out, now I need to do the weaving because right now it's not woven. So I'm just going to set these out to the side. Okay, so, okay, starting with the central one here, now I'm going to take this next one and I lift it up. Okay, next I'm going to take a side one and I'm going to put this on and I'm going to lift up these. So you're definitely doing a woven basket pattern. Okay, and it doesn't really matter which one you do next. I do like to do it symmetrically, just I find it easier, but you can do it however you like. Okay, I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to do one more coil because I didn't have enough. I have to do one more exterior coil. I'm going to stretch this just a little bit more. I need to make sure that I can get it all the way around. I should have started with more clay, but obviously I didn't. All right, that is long enough. Okay. All right, now comes the attachment time. It's best to do this all in one bell sitting. Now I'm going to score, and score every place where the clay is going to touch each other. I'm just going to score everything first and get it prepped. I'll switch to this. You might note that I'm getting it up on a glaze jar because that makes it easier to get my hand underneath. Otherwise, my hand would be hitting the table. So I like to lift it up. Now, you will note that I did not score and slip these pieces up here because I'm working in a very quick manner. And the clay is very plastic at this point. So now I am scoring and slipping the ends though, where it's going to be meeting down here. So all of that scoring that I just scored, now I'm slipping on the underneath side and on the top sides. I want the coils to be overlapping. Now I'm going to press all of these down so they're making contact with that edge coil, really embedding them. Now if the edge is sticking down beyond my coil, I'm going to trim off some of those. So like right here where it's sticking down, I'm going to trim that. All right, so the ends are attached to the underneath side of the coil. Now the last thing is scoring, and I'm going to put a top coil on. So if you've ever had a basket where you looked at the edge, sometimes some baskets are made with an inner piece of material that holds it and an outer piece of material. That's exactly what I'm doing here, an inner piece and an outer piece. Okay, all that is entirely scored. Now I'm going to score the back side of this. I'm going to add some water to the back side of this. Okay, and with my fingers not too messy, I'm now going to pick this up. And again, this is all plastic, right? I'm doing this in the plastic stage. I'm going to trim off the extra where it's overlapping. I'll let it overlap a little bit more there instead of trimming it off exactly flush. Now, I want to make sure that it's staying level, that it's not like falling down. And with a gentle squeeze, I'm just really embedding it into the ends of the coils that were already there. Okay, up here on the top, I'm just going to take some slip and I'm trying to get some slip underneath those where those coils overlap on the top because they're not really scored and slipped, they're only just kind of stuck in place. So a little bit more slip might help that. And then just gently, again, I'm just gently pressing these together. All right. Now, I want to leave this until it's stiff enough where I can remove it. And that might just be a day if I cover it in plastic. And then I'll come back to it and I'll clean up the edge a little bit more. Okay, this has dried for a bit and now this is leather hard. I can put my fingers right in the middle. Now you don't want to allow this to dry too much. If you allow it to dry too much, it'll shrink and it'll crack. So it would do well to keep these in the damp boxes. Now in the case of this, I just need to make sure that it sits flat, which it looks like it's sitting okay. And then in here, I'm going to tidy up with a paintbrush. I'm going to tidy up where these edges might be kind of sticking up. If I have a little extra, again, I'll just kind of cut that off. I'm just going to tidy up with a paintbrush. So to be honest, I could have been a lot more precise about the way that I did the edge here. This was just a super quick one, but I need to go through here and make sure that I'm checking for any, I don't want to have any score marks that are visible. I want to take care of anything like that. I want my craft to look clean. And if I want to, I could even have like a little accent, like maybe right here, where it looks like they kind of come together and they're being held. I might just make it look like it's got like a nail or a rivet or something there. And that is making a woven basket over a plaster mold. I will have a future video when I show how I glaze this, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos on working with clay.